And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. But a big week of toy news this week with some exciting stuff to talk about. We'll dive into that shortly here, but of course a little bit of housekeeping. If you guys are watching this Saturday at drop time in just a couple of hours, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern time, it will be my live Whatnot stream. Of course, find me over there on Whatnot, link in the description down below. Sign up via that link. You get a free $15 to use on the Whatnot platform. Got to get a deal out there. You can use it in my stream or any other stream. Choose your own Whatnot adventure. But make sure you get over there on that stream later today, as it will be the return of my dad. Yes, my dad is coming to say hello, coming off of retirement to say hello, and I'll be selling stuff for my personal collection and chitting, chatting, and doing all that kind of stuff. My wife, Angie, will probably be there as well. So join me for about an hour and a half or so, 3 o'clock Central time today, if you're watching this on Saturday the 18th. Check it out. We will be giving away the Heart Foundation Coliseum collection. So all you got to do is be in the chat. You don't even have to buy anything to be eligible for the giveaway. So head over to Whatnot today. Hope to see you guys and you gals, especially you gals. Hope to see you there today. And hopefully we can talk some sense to my dad. Maybe he'll be back for some other videos. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But join me, my dad, and probably my wife, Angie, over on Whatnot at 3 o'clock Central. So there you go right there. And of course, Patreon. It is the month of May. We got the May giveaway. It is the rowdy one. Rowdy Roddy Piper, of course, the Monday Night Wars Ultimate. I almost said Elite. Ultimate Edition. It's the Walmart exclusive. A fabulous figure. No doubt about it. A top 10 Ultimate for 2024. You can win this by being a member of course, the Patreon. Link in the description down below. You can also be a free member of the Patreon now, so go and sign up and do all that kind of fun stuff there. So there's a little housekeeping. Now let's get down to the news here, and there's a lot going on. But first off, we got some special guests here today. We got Mark Summers over on the couch, and we got Todd McFarlane. And Todd, gonna get to you very soon, as we got some stuff. I'm very excited to hear about this UFC stuff, as we got some conversation to go. But we also got a special guest that Todd brought in, and all I can say is, I guess, hit it, Rockapella.
Well, she sneaks around the world from Vegas to Carolina. She's everything you think her future from Berlin down to Believe. She'll take you for a ride on the most of China. Tell me where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego.
Man, it's awesome to have Rockapella here today on the show. Man, everybody loves Carmen Sandiego, don't they? I heard Carmen Sandiego ran off with Waldo. That's what I did hear that. Somebody fact check that if you want. But gotta give a special thanks to Todd McFarlane and Mark Summers. With their powers combined, they convinced Rockapella to come here and perform live for us in the toy news this week. You guys are the best. You guys stay on the couch anytime you want. And Rockapella, where you guys been? It feels like it's been a while since I've heard from you. I'm glad you could play that big hit. And man, I love those little braids on you. I don't know their names. Sorry, I'll meet you guys. We can talk a little bit after the show here. But shout out to the Rockapella group. Shout out to Carmen Sandiego. Shout out to Double Dare's Mark Summers. And of course, Todd McFarlane. And Todd, we got more from you very shortly here. But let's kick it off with some wrestling news here. AEW Series 9, of course, Unmatched. I should have those later today through the mail, so look for those reviews very soon on the channel. But very interesting is we got pretty promotional images, glamour shots, whatever you want to call it, in-package shots, and bam, right like that from ringside using code Kyle. Of course, discount code Kyle, save 10%. They're on their way to us right now. So if you're looking for these, head over there. First one, and probably going to be the most popular one far and away, is going to be Jeff Hardy here. Anxious to see how the first AEW Jeff Hardy figure looks. Looks very nice in these pretty images shots here. Looks like an amazing head sculpt on this one as well. 2 heads for Jeff Hardy, so I got to think the hardcore collector's going to buy 2 of these as well. Jamie Hayter returning to the line. I'm still trying to track down that Wembley exclusive. Ooh, that gets in my craw real deep. I was sleeping when that went up, of course, as a lot of us were here in North America. is what it is. I'll track it down one day. But we got Jamie Hayter coming back once again with the title belt. Like that she's posed in the packaging as well, looking very good. Got an updated head scan on her. Have to think she's coming back sooner rather than later. Is her momentum done with AEW? We'll see what ends up happening there. And then, of course, we got a young boy Yuta. Oh, Wheeler Yuta, his first non-bloody figure here. We got Wheeler Yuta with the, of course, Pure Wrestling title, Ring of Honor, representing the BCC. And speaking of the BCC, that's what this wave's all about, is we do get Jon Moxley in his black hoodie there. Now, is this hoodie going to stain? Is it going to be the bane of my existence? Am I going to have a meltdown? You're going to have to stay tuned to the channel here. We, of course, got Bryan Danielson looking like he's there at Glamour Shots doing one of these kind of things in the package. A lot of people down on this figure are going to be really interested to see how this one looks in hand. And then we got Claudio Castagnoli. Great to see him for the first time in the AEW line. Just recently unboxing the channel his Ring of Honor figure, his throwback figure. So now we're getting a more modern take. And then, of course, part of the one of 3,000, you're getting him in a, I guess, a Dudley Boy's jacket is what it looks like to me. But we're getting another version of Claudio there. And then we're getting Alex Reynolds. Finally going to complete that Dark Order. It's been forever, it feels like. One of 5,000. Going to be really interesting if he's going to be hard to get. I would love to have 2 of these. I'd like to have one at least loose on my Dark Order shelf. And then one mint on card, of course, as you can imagine. So an interesting lineup here. It's going to be interesting to see how this one does perform. How soon we'll see this one at retail, as we've seen a lot of these AEW figures go to Ringside, and Ringside right after there, it goes to, of course, the Targets and Walmarts of the world. We'll see how that ends up shaking out. But an interesting set, to say the least. Got a whole team in there, which is something they've been doing a little bit, and it looks like they're going away from in the future. So we'll see more on that. But can't wait to get those. Check out those reviews here in the next couple of days. Stay tuned to the channel. But moving on over to Elite Series 113 and 114, the Major Pod Group on Monday. They did a live show on YouTube. Congratulations to those guys. 300 episodes, of course. Shout out to the whole Major Pod crew over there. Always been really nice to me. I can't complain about them at all. But Elite 113, they did announce we got CM Punk. That's that reunion. Kinda a reunion to the ring to Madison Square Garden. All plain black. We have that coming in 113. We got Trick Williams, NXT champion, first time in the line. We got Dragon Lee, another first time in the liner right there. Kofi Kingston, no stranger to the line. Tiffany Stratton, Elite, her basics setting the world on fire. Apparently some controversy with her lately. Oh, it creates cash. That's what Eric Bischoff told me. We'll see what happens there. And then we got Carlito ×2. Oh my gosh, we never got a Carlito Elite. It's about time. Have to imagine we'll get more Carlitos in the future, especially maybe in the Legends line, Ruthless Aggression line, things like that. Is Carlito a guy definitely needs more figures? That's no doubt about it. Then we move over to Elite 114. We got the Usos. Uso crazy to not have them in a toy line, am I right? We got Tommaso Ciampa coming back to the line. First time in the line, Zoe Stark. She jumped over, didn't even get a basic. Went straight to that Elite line. Long overdue on her. Braun Breaker, his return to the line. And then Ilya Dragunov, his return to the line as well. So that's Elite 113 and 114 right around the corner. We also saw this week, it looks like we're getting a repaint of Storm Collectibles El Desperado. We did have, what, 2 of those? I'm looking at them right over here. We had 2 of those earlier this year, January. I want to say those were Ringside exclusives. I believe this will be Ringside. I'm not 100% sure, but we do got another one with a more red mask. Not going to be for everybody. That's the way it does go, but if you're interested, they got another variant, and we see that with Storm and their wrestling figures for the most part. Multiple reuses out of them. It's just kind of the name of the game. We got to get the most out of your molds, as we do know. We also saw an image last week. I forgot to talk about it. It was in my notes and I forgot about it, but it's Top Rope Collectibles. I don't know anything more than this image here, but it looks like they're possibly doing Galoob-style figures. Galoob's really one of the missing links of retro wrestling figures after all these years. We're getting, of course, the old school Hasbros redone in many different forms. We're getting the big rubber guys, the old school LJN. Of course, the modern day Elites, Ultimates, all that kind of stuff. But nobody has been doing the Galoob style until now, I guess. So we'll see how this ends up going, see who they sign, see where this one goes. I was a kid, of course, that played with the Galoobs, and I enjoyed the Galoobs for what they were, but it was a different time, a different generation, as we do know. But very interesting to see where this one goes. I'll be looking, I'll be watching. We'll see. But speaking of throwback lines, how about Big Rubber Guys? I talk about Major Wrestling Figure Podcast doing their 300th episode this week. They did announce in that we got an all-ego Ethan Page Big Rubber Guy coming. I'm a little 50-50 on this one. It makes all the sense in the world. All ego Ethan Page has quite the fan base, much like a young Danhausen. Shout out to Danhausen, of course. he has people that will buy his merchandise. So I think this will sell very well. It does kind of go away from what the big rubber guys do as far as modern talent. However, we got to remember they had Matt and Brian in Series 1. So I guess we're going to see going forward, we're going to see classic guys, of course, plus some modern guys. And really, it does make sense, the evolution of the business. I don't know if I'd like to see them in the same wave or different packaging or what. I'm not really sure. I'd have to sit and put the old pen to the paper and think how I would really like to do it. But it makes sense. At the end of the day, you got to put that business hat on. It's about making money, and all ego Ethan Page is going to make them some good money. Have to imagine this means we will have Danhausen in the future. You have to think Danhausen's right around the corner. That should be another big seller for them. But I'm really hopeful for a lot of NWA superstars from yesteryear that were around during the time of the LJNs. I would love to see that, bringing those two worlds together. I think that would be really cool. We've been getting some of that, and I hope we get more of that, including the Dino Bravos of the world and things like that along the way. We'll see what ends up happening. Hey, get me Haku. Get us that King Haku we never got. We got the Islander one. Give us a King Haku. That'd be another good one in the big rubber guys line. They don't need my help. They know what they're doing out there. But now we turn our attention to the retro corner of the week, and a lot of retro news this week, especially from Hastel Toys and the Grapplers and Gimmicks line. Man, oh man, announcement after announcement it felt like this week. Tons of pre-orders ending. I would say go to his website. You can find out all the details on everything. What's for order, what's for pre-order, what's coming soon. There's a lot of stuff coming at us very fast. But this week we did see pretty images of 94 Bulldog. We got the British Bulldog on the way once again. Saw beautiful images of him. And then we got some announcers coming. We got Sean Mooney, an all-timer if you were a kid of the 80s. We all remember old Sean Mooney. And then we got Lord Alfred Hayes. And when I was a little kid, we called him Judo Al Hayes. Maybe that was what my grandpa called him. But, of course, Lord Alfred Hayes, an all-timer. Truly the definition of an all-timer. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Oh, my gosh. Give me the Lord Alfred Hayes all day long. Would love to see a big rubber guy, Lord Alfred Hayes. Not sure if that would sell very well, but man, I'd love to see that. Give me a Lord Alfred Hayes Mattel. Give me all the Lord Alfred Hayes. Give me the Judo Al Hayes. I want that one as well. But an all-timer of a wrestler, known mostly for his announcing, but he was also a manager for a time, so truly a legend of the wrestling industry. Great to see him finally get a figure after all these years. Would have fit great in the Classic Superstars line. Was never in the cards until now. And then the big news, of course, we did see images on card of the Macho Man Randy Savage. I like that he went with a deeper cut Macho Man. I mean, it's not a super deep cut, but most people, it seems like in this day and age, they think of Macho Man with the cowboy hat, the tassel jacket, and we get stuff on that, offshoots of that. Of course, he wore that for a lot of his career, of course, but this is a different look for him, and I like different, and I'm sure we'll get some of those other looks from him in the future, but I think this is a good one to kick off with, so anxious to see where all this stuff does go in the near future. But we're not done talking Macho Man. No. We got figure collections. 1 of 500. I call this one NWO Macho Man. Doesn't have NWO on it, but it kind of reminds me of that. That is shipping from Figure Collections right now. Sold out really quick, as you can imagine. I do have one on the way. I think I'm going to leave mine in the card. I don't think I need to unbox it. We'll see what ends up happening there. But there's even a variant on top of the 1 of 500 as the glasses fell off of some of them. So it ends up being another variant edition there. So Macho Man going to be hard to find on the secondary market, I do believe. But that's not all. Shipping right now is Gilbert. I have that on the way. And then, of course, Father Jim Mitchell in 3 different suit colors. Oh, my gosh. I got to go back. I can't remember if I pre-ordered that. I'm pretty sure I did, but maybe I did miss out on that. I'm just not sure if I need 3 Jim Mitchells. I need at least 1. Do I need 3? But I'm kind of torn between the black and the red outfit. We'll see what happens. But Father Jim Mitchell, one of the great, more modern-day managers, really, of an old-school style and a more modern day. Always loved his work. Loved his cocaine habits on the NWA. Just an all-around good guy, I'm sure. Worships the devil. What could you say bad about Jim Mitchell? But very cool here. And then we did see images of Jeff Jarrett. That sounds like that's the next release. We got 2 different versions of old Double J. It's going to be the year of Jeff Jarrett. We got the ringside exclusive. We got these. We got Zombie Sailor. We got a lot of Jeff Jarrett's on our way. Another guy definitely overdue for action figures. Been kind of slighted over the years, if you do ask me. So we got those coming. But we're not done with wrestling. This is the final piece. Power Town, of course, pre-order for the TNA Series 1 ending at the end of May. So you got a couple of weeks still to get your order in. New packaging style, new packaging design, and dare I say, along with this, a conspiracy?
Ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
I did get a late-breaking email in from Powertown. Powertown said they wanted to send me this video and what they think about me and my conspiracies.
Dumb.
Stupid.
crazy.
You've got to be kidding me, using my own jokes against me. Oh my gosh, you Power Town, you cagey individuals over there. But I'm here for this Power Town. It is a little interesting however, the Matt and Brian kind of seemed like pushed to the side for this TNA Series 1, but we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think TNA Series 1 doling out some money to Power Town to get these figures made. Matt and Brian a little different contract, we'll call it there, so it does make sense, but they should be within a month of each other. We'll see what ends up happening. We know what happened with TNA Series 1 last time. We'll see how the Power Town does, but new packaging style here without that flap we got on the Ultras, I guess they were called, Series 1. So interesting, but man, where's those Ultras Series 2? We really need to get after. I think Power Town had so much momentum behind them, and it just all kind of deflated over time. They weren't ready for a quick follow-up. So I'm hoping they get back on speed, and in between sets, you get some 2-packs, single packs in between. You got to keep poking the flames, keeping those flames going, and Power Town just kind of seems to be a roller coaster, as we have seen. But the TNA, you got till the end of the month. Get your order in if that is your thing. But now we turn our attention to one Todd McFarlane on the couch. And Todd, you know I love you. I love Todd McFarlane. Heck, we got his figure right here at the desk. One of the all-time great figures. Could it be Figure of the Year 2024? Who knows? We'll see what happens there. But Todd, some interesting information from your camp this week. Mark Summers, I don't know if you heard about this. Feel free to listen in. And Rockapella, cool down. We'll get to you guys later. Maybe. It's just, you can only take so much a cappella music. I don't know about you, but that's how I go. And we only really want to hear one song from him. We just want to hear that one, Carmen Sandiego. But Todd, talking to you from the couch once again. Now, we know Todd. Whenever I do these wrestling unboxings on the channel, Todd is never here. He's upstairs taking a hot shower, using all the hot water, trying to use it, taking an hour-long shower. I don't know what it is. But Todd, you've told me repeatedly, you're just not down with wrestling. You said it's for clowns, I think is what he said, which I think some of us are a little offended by that. But Todd, you're going to Todd. That's what you're going to do. But Todd, you know you got your business hat on. You even put it on with your figure here. It's a Spawn hat, but it's your business hat at the end of the day. And you saw an opportunity to sweep in, and we got UFC figures coming from McFarlane Toys. Now, this isn't as big of a stretch as we would think, as we've had the sport picks for many years. We've had hockey, we've had football, we've had basketball, we've had baseball, of course. Now we're going to get UFC figures, and it makes sense because UFC, obviously, when I first started, it was all kinds of crazy, and I loved it back then. Not as big of a UFC fan in this day and age as I was, 10, 15 years ago, whatever time is. I liked it a little bit more Wild Wild West, but now it's a little bit more official. It's almost like boxing in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of UFC programming. There's a lot of UFC fans. And with that comes action figures. Now, we've seen from Jakks, Todd, this is where you need to listen in for my business hat. We've seen it from Jakks back in the day. We've seen it from Jazzwares. Both absolute failures of toy lines. I liked what they were, but the majority of people do not. And I've talked about it in the past. It goes with boxing and UFC. There's a lot of male fans of those sports, and female as well. However, there's not the little kid connection like we get with wrestling, and there's not the crossover appeal. For a UFC fan, they like UFC, but they're not going to buy an action figure. Some will, obviously, but the majority will not take that next step. Where in wrestling fandom, it seems like it's more natural to buy an action figure or two, and especially if you have kids. So the crossover appeal is there a little bit better for wrestling than UFC. You can take that and you can use that. It's free of charge. Free of charge for you, Todd. Why don't you give me a coupon code or something? Or acknowledge my existence on social media just once. Maybe that would happen. But Todd and the UFC figures make sense because it is more adult-oriented collectibles. Todd McFarlane figures are than, of course, majority of stuff that you see in the action figure aisles. Now, this will be interesting. Will they be statues? Will they be fully articulated? I think that's what most of us are hoping. However, they're not going to be in scale with our Mattel Elites. They're going to be that 7-inch scale. Now, I don't know how well it's going to do. It'll be interesting. If I was Todd, and Todd, take this once again, I'd put out maybe 4 characters at once and see how it goes. And you got to come hot with some tippy-top guys. I know people are going to say, let's get that Conor McGregor out there and stuff, the modern-day stuff. I get it. I understand it. You got to have some of that, but I think one big key is to put in some of the legends. We need Boss Rutan, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Get me Boss Rutan. Fedor would be an awesome one. Of course, Randy Couture. Maybe you can get Brock Lesnar. I think you got to do something to get some crossover appeal to older fans and current fans, and with a guy like Brock Lesnar or even CM Punk. Maybe get some wrestling fans involved. It'll be an interesting twist and turn. I am hopeful at San Diego Comic-Con we can see some images or maybe at least some renders of these UFC figures so we can finally see what all the fuss is about, and we'll talk more about it when that time does come. And we'll see about San Diego. I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Am I going to go? Am I not? Just had to pay like $10,000 for new flooring in the main floor of my house. Need to get a new oven. Got a new bedroom set. Have to pay for my little daughter, Emma. Oh, shout out to Emma. Had to fix my wife's Commander. Had a lot of expenses lately. So I don't know. Do I need to go to San Diego Comic-Con? We'll see. It's still up in the air, but I got to make a decision here in the next week or two. So stay tuned to that. But of course, if I do go to San Diego Comic-Con, we'll be covering all the action. We'll be covering it all. We'll see what ends up happening there. But very anxious to see where this UFC line goes. I don't think I'm going to be dabbling outside of Legends, but we'll see what ends up happening. But very interesting news from Todd McFarlane on the couch. But of course, as Jerry Reed always says, we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. And Jerry Reed, exactly right as usual, as we got more news from Todd McFarlane, and Todd playing a lot of hits here, and he's back again with the digital collection, and I still don't understand it. And Todd, it's like I say at my day job all day long. If I'm somebody that's deep in the weeds and I don't understand it, how does the average Joe, the average grandma, the average kid out there understand this stuff? But it's the McFarlane digital collection. We got the Atom. Yeah, we got Superman, Repaint City. I like Eagly there. I'm going to say that's Peacemaker's Eagly, of course. But the Green Arrow is the star of the show on this digital one here. But I just don't get it. I don't want these digital collectibles. I don't understand it. Todd, it's a waste of time. You're just not, it's like an NFT or something. I don't know. People want the figures. People want the figures. I don't want Aquaman on my phone. I want him in my hand. That's what I want him. Yeah, that's what. Or maybe on the couch. Maybe you can take your spot. Or maybe I can get an aquarium for him in the backyard. We'll see. But we do got those three coming to the digital line. I like that digital line. We unboxed those over, I believe it was Kyle Peterson 2.0 channel. And man, if you're not watching Kyle Peterson 2.0, if you're not subscribed to Kyle Peterson 2.0, you are missing out on some McFarlane, some Mark Summers, and all kinds of humors, and all kinds of off-the-rails thing. There's a lot going on over there. Every single day there's a video, and it's a lot of Todd McFarlane, a lot of Ninja Turtles, and little bits and pieces of other things. Eventually going to do probably Gargoyles on that channel, and Mythic Legions. I have a lot of that stuff to unbox. We'll probably do that on Kyle Peterson 2.0. You know, there's 41,000 subscribers over here now. Thank you, guys. We will have a top 10 this week. And we got 4,000 subscribers over on that other channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the second channel, get on that. You don't want to miss out on stuff like that. A lot of fun over there. But we'll unbox those figures probably in the future on 2.0. And then, of course, Todd this week gave us the Superman we've all been wanting, Cyborg Superman. Of course, everybody loves a Cyborg. Everybody loves a Superman. It's natural you put those two together, and you're truly off to the races right there with Cyborg Superman. And now some news from a couple of weeks ago. I was at C2E2. You guys probably saw the video, of course, on the channel. They did announce at C2E2 officially that we are going to get Mondo Thundercats in the He-Man scale. Unbelievable. Unbelievable for our wallets. Unbelievable across the board. Very expensive times with Mondo. Absolutely love the Mondo Masters Universe stuff. Love the X-Men stuff. Do I have it on me? Do I have it in my wallet to get the Thundercats? We'll have to see what happens, but it sounds like we're going to see more of those at San Diego Comic-Con, so stay tuned for that. And we do know Ghostbusters are coming. When the rumors are going around, Mondo's going to do Ghostbusters. I imagined movie Ghostbusters, but it looks like they're doing the animated series. Now, I'm all about the animated series. I've said it before. I prefer the animated series to the movies. I always grew up with the animated series. Love the figures now. So this is one that really interests me, and it sounds like we're going to have the huge ones, the big ones that Mondo does so well, but they're also going to go down to the littler 6-inch scale figures as well with these Ghostbusters. That could be a game changer. If those catch fire, could we see 6-inch scaled He-Man, other lines in the future? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but that could be something extra special, and that's something that could really put a hurting on Super 7 if they started doing Super 7 scaling in Mondo. It'll be interesting to see where that goes in the future. We'll have to stay tuned here. Of course, a lot more info from Mondo at San Diego Comic-Con right around the corner once again. And then a very expensive drop this week that didn't sell out right away, which I think tells a lot. It is Mezco Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon looks. $400, a pricey big boy purchase. Of course, a lot of people went wild about the last release. Now we're getting repaints, getting the most out of your molds, as we always say. But these didn't set the world on fire. I didn't get the last one. I'm not getting these either. There's only so many dollars to go around, and we know how that goes. And there's enough turtle stuff I'm collecting that I can pass on these, of course. Carnage Marvel Legends this week, a deluxe figure, an amazing one. Let There Be Carnage. Yeah, it wasn't for everybody, but man, Carnage speaking to me in my childhood reading days, video games, comic books, action figures as a kid. Loved Carnage now. a must-have for me. Had to pick this one up. Can't wait to get this in hand. Love that it's a big deluxe figure as well. Very, very cool right there. And then we're going to finish off a little toy news here with a little He-Man stuff. Still on the hunt for Lord Grass and Terror. Been iced out at my Walmarts. Been iced out on Monday Night Wars Series 2. Just hard times, disappointment on the toy hunt this week. But if you did see my toy hunt video, you saw me miss a chase. Yes, you heard it here. I missed a chase. Show it in my video. One of my great Patreon supporters, of course, Kyle over there, a Patreon supporter, he pointed out, hate to point this out to you, you missed a chase. Went back, looked at the footage. Lo and behold, missed a chase Keith Lee. So super hard times, disappointed on the figure hunt video this week. Check that out if you did miss that. But we do got a Horde Trooper Prime Deluxe figure coming. Very interesting one here as we get deeper into the Origins line. A deluxe pack. Get some pretty promotional images here. Have to imagine pre-orders right around the corner for that one. And then next week, of course, Mattel Creations Extendor on the way. So get in there, $20 for Extendor. He is going up on Mattel Creations. Be there or be square, as one may say. So there it is. That is the toy news this week. And of course, that leads us to the next part. That leads us to the Album of the Week. This week, we got the Album of the Week, and the Album of the Week comes to us from the band Demon, and the album title, Night of the Demon, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. I've listened to this album hundreds of times. It was even Album of the Week probably 2 years ago on the channel. What is time? But I absolutely love this one, and I think it is very, very underrated. The majority of people have never heard this album before. Early new wave of British heavy metal, which is one of my favorite eras of heavy metal, of course. Love all the different twists and turns in the new wave British heavy metal and some of the bands that came out of that scene. Demon, not one of the biggest bands, not a household name, but an amazing album. I recommend everybody listen to this album at least one time, especially if you're into hard rock heavy metal. The album cover, I always felt scares people away. And it's one of the most kind of, I don't know if graphic's the right word, horror-induced. You could really make the claim that it's one of the first, like, crazy image album covers of all time, especially from heavy metal. As you see a lot of that from the Cannibal Corpse and things like that in this day and age. But back then, you didn't see that kind of stuff. So it was a little bit more jarring than most. And I think the album cover probably turned a lot of people off, thinking it was a different kind of music than what it was. But an amazing, amazing album that I love to listen to. It's one of those ones I always go back home to all the time. And I just recently saw Night Demon. Of course, no relation between the two bands, but they actually played Demon to open up before their set. So I thought that was really cool. And I've always forgot to ask Jarvis and the guys how big of a fan they are of Demon. I have to imagine they do enjoy Demon's music. But I would love to see them do a cover of Night of the Demon. I think it just writes itself at this point. But if you've never checked out Night of the Demon, definitely give it a spin. It's a great album. I absolutely love it. It doesn't mean anything to you probably, but for me, definitely album of the week is Demon, Night of the Demon. So there it is, this week's toy news, all kinds of stuff going down. What were you most interested in? What are you picking up? What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about Rockapella? Should they have been album of the week? Maybe. Who knows? You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some. We got 2 YouTube channels. Make sure you subscribe to both of them, as I always do say. And check out the Patreon if you want to be a part of the giveaway. You can be a free member over there right now. Don't forget about Whatnot. If you're watching this Saturday, it'll be Saturday afternoon, the return of my dad to say hello to everybody. You don't want to miss that, of course. And don't forget ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. New shirts coming very soon over there. Working on a couple of designs right now. And then, of course, don't forget about social media. SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and Instagram, and my book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, The Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstars series. For another week of toy news, you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling to my Whatnot stream.